It's not a bad thing for a team to shell out dollars for premium athletes. It's bad, however, to pay players on other teams. Believe it or not, that actually happens all the time. When an NFL team cuts or trades a player, their contracts just don't go away. Think of it as the NFL's version of alimony. And that doesn't just come with depression. It comes with what's called a dead cap hit. Now, and in the past, teams spend huge chunks of their allotted salary cap on ex-players. And today, we're going to break down the biggest dead cap hits in NFL history. God, I wish I could get paid not to work. And with that, let's pay some bills. Hey, are you having a bad week? Just remember, your week could not have possibly been worse than the Denver Broncos was. So consider yourself lucky, and with this newfound luck, why don't you turn that into cold hard cash? That's right, using my code 5points, all first-time users on PrizePicks will receive an instant deposit match up to $100. It's pretty simple. If you deposit $69, PrizePicks will give you $69. Nice. So how does it work? Well, you pick 2 to 6 players and then you decide if they will get more or less of their prize pick projection. You can win, get this, up to 25 times your money on any entry. I'm hoping my luck is a bit better this week too. I'm taking Russ Wilson, yes, Kirk Cousins, yes, and Tua Tagovailoa to all go over their projections. Let's get this bread. PrizePicks also has an awesome promotion schedule, so you can always take advantage of juicy deals like Taco Tuesday or Flex Fridays, where you can win your cash back up to $20 if your luck doesn't go your way. So after this video, first-time users go to prizepicks.com or download the app from the link below and use my code 5points for a 100% deposit match up to $100. Again, that's promo code 5points on PrizePicks. Good luck. Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning signed a 5-year, $90 million deal to remain in Indy. That was in July of 2011. He never played another snap in a Colts uniform. We know the story pretty well. While shaving, Peyton Manning's huge head fell off his neck, but was thankfully reattached. Unfortunately, Manning would be diagnosed with a degenerative spine issue that nearly ended his Hall of Fame career, and he missed the entire 2011 season while undergoing surgery and neck reinforcement for his huge cranium. The Colts sucked for Captain Andrew Luck before pushing Manning out the door, after which he signed with the Denver Broncos. But just as the Colts were rebuilding their team from scratch, they would have to eat a dead cap hit of nearly $20 million. That's money that could have gone to bolstering their defense, getting a receiver for Andrew Luck, or getting someone to block and protect Andrew Luck's spleen. Despite having to pay a quarterback in Denver, the Colts rebuild was shockingly quick, and they made the playoffs in 2012 under head coach Chuck Pagano and interim coach Bruce Arians. Andrew Luck would eventually be killed in battle. Antonio Brown. Where do you even begin with Antonio Brown? Do you start with the Hall of Fame numbers in Pittsburgh, the bleached mustache, the frostbitten foot, the taped phone call with John Gruden, his bizarre relationship with Tom Brady, or all that other stuff? But the crazy thing about Antonio Brown's post-Steelers career is that while he was filming a live documentary about the effects of CTE, he was also getting paid by the Steelers. On New Year's Day in 2019, Ian Rappaport from NFL Network dismissed the rumors about Antonio Brown wanting to be traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers. One of the reasons he mentioned to debunk these rumors was the substantial financial burden the Steelers would face, specifically a staggering $21.1 million in dead cap if they traded or released Brown before the 2019 season. However, just 2 months later, the Steelers did indeed trade Brown, sending him to the Oakland Raiders in exchange for a 3rd round and 5th round pick in the 2019 NFL Draft. This trade triggered the previously mentioned dead cap hit, which was a consequence of a 4-year, $68 million contract extension that Brown had signed in 2017. This extension had made him the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL at the time. Obviously, paying a lunatic to not even catch passes for your team is not the most efficient way to run a football team, but the Steelers were essentially out of options. The story, of course, goes on for AB. He was released by the Raiders, played a game in New England, and eventually landed in Tampa and caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl, making many Yinzers salty. Then, of course, he took his shirt off in New York and peaced out on the Buccaneers mid-game. Then went on to bankrupt an Arena Football League team, Russell Wilson. The Russell Wilson saga has stretched on for years now, originating with his trade demands in Seattle all the way to his monumental struggles in the Mile High City to perhaps a rebirth under Sean Payton. Too bad he can't play defense. When the Seahawks traded away the greatest quarterback in their franchise history, it was a big swing that would save them money and also cost them money. Allow me to explain what that means. The Seattle Seahawks managed to reduce their 2022 payroll by $11 million when they traded Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. However, despite this trade, they still had to absorb a significant dead cap hit of $26 million for the 2022 season. This financial burden resulted from a 4-year contract worth $140 million that Wilson had signed after the 2019 season. At this time, that contract boasted the highest AAV, that's average annual value, of any player in the NFL. It included a substantial $107 million in guaranteed money, which ultimately led to the sizable dead money hit 3 years later when Wilson was traded. Ultimately, I would venture to guess that the Seahawks didn't mind having to fork over $26 million to move on from Russ, because Geno Smith only cost them $7 million in 2022 and rewarded their confidence with a Pro Bowl bid and a spot in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers is a strange guy, to put it mildly. He's also one of the costliest in the league. When Aaron Rodgers signed a new contract in March 2022, it was apparent that the Green Bay Packers might face a dead cap hit at some stage during his 3-year, $150 million deal. As it turns out, all of Rodgers' dead cap hit has hit the Packers' books in 2023, making up about 18% of their salary cap for this season. In contrast, he will have a cap hit of $15.79 million while playing for the New York Jets in the same year. Except, of course, he isn't playing for the Jets. Maybe when you think about it, Rodgers' 2023 is one of the most financially constricting seasons in NFL history. Rodgers is eating up cap space in Green Bay and New York, and it's like he's vaporized into the ether and is terrorizing salary caps as a floating being in the darkness. What the fuck? Not only is Rodgers' sideline making the Jets stuck with Zach Wilson, it's also potentially blocking them from swinging a trade for a big-name quarterback in an attempt to save their season. Yeah, I thought they were the Jets, but they look like tanks right now. Carson Wentz. Nobody has stretched just one season into a lucrative career quite like Carson Wentz did. Picked second overall out of North Dakota State, Wentz was a near MVP in his sophomore campaign before a knee injury prematurely ended his season and put the ball in the hands of the well-appendaged Nick Foles, who caught fire at the perfect time and defeated Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. And not to go all Barry McCockiner on everyone, but I don't think we talk enough about how Nick Foles beat Tom Brady in a Super Bowl. When the Eagles came to grips that Wentz was not the answer and some guy named Jalen Hurts was, they made the decision to deal Wentz to Indy, where he would be reunited with former offensive coordinator Frank Reich. But because they had signed Wentz to a 4-year deal in 2019, just 2 years before they got rid of him, the Birds would have to suck it up and eat a bite of cap in 2021 when they rebuilt. In total, the Eagles incurred a cap hit of $33.8 million. Good for them. They only had to pay Jalen Hurts a second-rounder salary. But Wentz's cap hit took up an astonishing 20% of the total salary cap for Philly that year. Despite a fifth of the team's resources being spent on a quarterback who played in a different conference, the Eagles rode a strong core of young players to the playoffs in 2021 before falling in the wild card round. And then when free of the soulless burden of Wentz, they made it to the Super Bowl last year. God, I hate Roseman. He's so good at his job. And finally, the biggest dead cap hit ever, Matt Ryan. In 2018, just 2 years after he was league MVP and led the Falcons to Super Bowl 51, Atlanta retained Matt Ryan with a 5-year, $150 million contract. Unfortunately for the Falcons, they ended up paying for a late-stage Matt Ryan, not the same quarterback that dominated the league in Kyle Shanahan's offense. So 3 years into the deal, Atlanta decided to flip their team on its head and deal Ryan to the Indianapolis Colts. The only problem was that they would have to eat a massive chunk of the deal to make the trade work out. Didn't we talk about the Colts earlier with Wentz? The Colts sent a third-round pick to the Falcons in exchange for the former MVP, but Atlanta would have to take it on the chin and incur a dead cap hit of $40.525 million. In 2022, the Falcons also took a hit for moving on from Dante Fowler and Julio Jones, meaning their total dead cap hit reached over $60 million of their entire payroll. And why was the cap hit so heavy for Atlanta and specifically Matt Ryan? Well, they kept restructuring his deal after 2018, essentially kicking the can down the road until the bill finally became due. The Falcons, of course, wanted to move on from Ryan to trade for Deshaun Watson prior to the 2022 season, one of the major reasons Ryan wanted out of Atlanta. Imagine the best quarterback in your franchise history being alienated in favor of Groper Cleveland. And guess what? He's not even that good. Ryan mercifully retired at the end of last season, free from the recurring trauma of Super Bowl 51. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more interesting vids on sports. I'm 5 Points Vids, and you made it to my next video.